another edition of FTMIG Live. As I was looking to make sure my microphone was on.
Yeah, we're just rushing around today.
Yeah, we like to have fun here. That's what people say.
Boy.
We've got Greg back again.
Yep.
We've got Karl back again. Welcome, everybody. On the show, really fast recap before we go into the day. We've got Edgar Montero, CEO of Chemist International. He is coming on the show this afternoon. Andy Williams was able to had a nice, good talk with him as well. Co-founder, CEO of Medicine Man Technologies. We're going to have him come on as well. And Christian from One Cannabis will be coming on the show as well.
We're going to try to live Skype with him.
The live Skype.
That is always questionable.
So we can do Q&As as well, the live Skype. But that's what the show is going to look like today.
Yeah.
What do the markets look like today?
To be honest with you, I haven't looked.
It's been crazy. It's
what's happening?
I know Karl and I were talking earlier. It's crazy that the first 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, the indices, the Dow Jones, the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, all of those were actually red for the most part. S&P 500 is what I meant to say instead of the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
And then Cannabis was green for Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday comes up. They're all green, and I'm looking at the space now. Canopy's red, Aphria's red, CannTrust is red. Aurora is green, but for the most part, the indicators and HMMJ are all red. Divergence. We're seeing a difference between the indices and cannabis. Do you like that, or do you hate that?
Well, it's not following, but I can't remember the last time I saw Aurora green and everything else was red.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably have. I just don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So I wonder why.
Well, Terry was just on an interview yesterday, I believe, and a lot of the comments in our chat rooms and all that was that the interview went really well. Like, people liked what they were hearing. They had confidence of their international expansion, because that's what everyone is thinking of right now, right?
I mean, the dilution's always been hurting them for the longest time now, but maybe people are seeing what that's actually going to turn into.
Yeah.
I mean, they're at a cheaper price too.
Oh yeah, right back down. Well, 825 actually. It's not too bad.
Guys,
a lot better than the 6.
What's their valuation?
Probably around 7 or 8 billion. It's up there. It's up there for sure. But they've been putting together a great company. Speaking of companies, this is the segue I'm choosing to go into this. Just using that word, Aphria. We haven't heard from Vic yet. Do you guys think it's going to come out today?
No idea.
No idea.
You're not going to speculate with me?
You know what? I just don't really care at this point about it. It was probably a good trade for people that could get in when they saw that the fear was at an extreme level. Mm-hmm. And I know some people that did, and congrats to them. But as far as Aphria, I mean, the problem with the whole thing is there's so many other options out there. Why would I even care about Aphria? Mm-hmm. Right? I don't really like what's happening with that, and there's lots of other companies that are doing great things that don't have that type of drama there, so don't really care about Aphria.
There's volatility already in the market. You don't need to go for the most volatile stock at this point too.
Yeah,
right?
like what's CannTrust valuation versus Aphria's valuation?
CannTrust is still up there as well. I have not looked in the last while. I don't know if you can pull it up there, Greg, real fast there. But CannTrust is doing a lot of really interesting things as well. There are companies still going out there and doing global acquisitions and getting out into different areas. So it'll be interesting, right? And it's like you said, right? A lot of people are looking at this, and we've seen a lot of this, bridge mark and these different elements of people really, really taking advantage of the system. And we're still waiting for things. I know Ben Smith is going to be on the show on Midas shortly after 3 o'clock, because he had a really good article that came out today talking about was it Scotiabank? Scotiabank analyst came out pretty much defending Aphria and all the different elements. We'll wait and see if Vic has his line-by-line rebuttal that was said. I can imagine it's going to come after hours.
Well, for me, go ahead, Greg, sorry.
Sorry, so to answer your question, Aphria is at $2 billion, and CannTrust is at $830 million.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really want to get into comparing the two, because one, we shouldn't, and I don't know enough about their assets to make an educated choice on that. But when it comes to Aphria, like I said, I think traders, it's one of those things where there is a lot of fear out there, and the valuation got to a point where it's like, well, hey, it's not like they don't have Canadian assets here, right? So people got in probably near a bottom and did well on a trade, and that's what I think Aphria's been good for. But now it's like, I just don't like what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many other companies out there right now, so it's like pass.
Yeah, yeah. I've been really trying to fight that myself, and just waiting until you do hear from the other side, because I try to remain open-minded. But there's a difference between was something legal or not, and was something right and not. There's actually a huge difference between those two.
Well, none of these are a client, right? But would you rather take a position in GGB or Afria right now?
Oh, I'd definitely go for like a GGB.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
There is, funny though, those two are kind of tied together.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, actually.
I interview the CEO tomorrow, actually. That'll be coming up on our next week's show. So if you have questions, we've been posting on our Facebook group for All the Money Investor group. You can head over there. We've had questions asking, do you have questions for Peter Horvath, the CEO of Green Growth Brands, GGB?
I should say I do own some green growth brands.
You should say that. You should.
Picked it up,
That's good.
eh?
That's good.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure.
But you know what? I'm happy. I mean, even just looking at the past, when I started speculating in cannabis, you know, I've learned, and everyone should keep learning. And one thing I like about them is their management and the people behind that, right? That's the power of brands in that in GGB.
Yeah.
You know, it's proud to say that I own that company.
And I think they're going to see a positive effect towards their company and just the stock, but also the company itself, with this farm bill going through, as is Charlotte Webb, CVSI. You've got a bunch of different players, Crop, a bunch of different players in the hemp field, because that for viewers, I can imagine if you're paying attention, you already know, but just in case, you know, the farm bill was put through the Senate. I think it was 73 to 13, like a unanimous vote yes, which has the hemp bill in it, which will legalize hemp.
Yeah.
And then that goes through the House of Representatives, or House of Republicans. I always mix that up with the House of Commons from the Canada side, but it has to go through the House. I think that's some point today. And if it went through 73 to 13 from the Senate, you'd think that it would go through the House. So then after that, it's Trump. It's the president.
Yeah, I don't think
he's been pro of that for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not worried that it won't go through. However, you never know.
Yeah,
Did you get into any hemp place?
No.
No.
Well, no. Well, GGB.
GGB has a hemp side to it for sure.
CBD.
That's what I want to really ask is, when it comes to American Eagle, are you going to be using hemp to make a clothing line for America? So I want to see if there's synergies there.
Well, no, but that's the things that they can do, and I think they're going to focus on regional brands, not necessarily national brand, which is cool, right? Because you can't market towards someone in New York as you would in LA. It's two different vibes, right? Or for in the Northwest in Seattle or something. So doing regional brands is a pretty good move if that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, and was it 3 people got licenses in Nevada? That's a huge place in Nevada.
They got 7, right?
GGB got 7. MPX I think had 4.
Yeah, they did.
And there was one other player as well. Forgive me for whoever the company is. I can't think of it right now. Another player got licenses there, and some big ones like Body and Mind, BAM, and Planet 13 did not get extra ones, and that's what hurt their stock so much.
Right, and then that's, again, it goes back to the people that are behind, you know, GGB, right? I think we're going to see this happen more often, where they're going to get things and other people aren't.
Yeah,
they've got the contacts, they've got the money, they've got.
Well, that's what people need to start focusing on. Is, you know, if you're out there and you're finding a company you want to get into, this whole first mover advantage is over. First mover advantage for the most part is done. You can look at the Canopy who have that. You can look at Aurora to have that. You can even look at Trulieve and Cure Light, and those, they've been around for a long time. They just went public later. But that whole advantage is gone. Now you start looking for what states are they in, or provinces.
Yeah.
What countries are they in? What products they do? You have to look for an actual thing. When it comes to management, so many people are forgetting. A lot of these companies started off with miners, or started off with people who, you know, had never grown more than like 10 plants. And now we got to actually become a retailer. So if I'm looking at a retailer who also gets cannabis, they don't have to get cannabis. They will pay for the people to grow it. They'll pay for the people to make it. They don't have to worry about that part.
No,
you need to grow exponentially and be a retail brand. That's why some of these players stick out more than others, where they're like getting like 2 stores. Yeah, well, they're gonna go. What did Peter say when we went to that thing? I'm gonna go and get 100.
Yeah.
Just.
Well, like on a real estate basis.
Yeah.
Like
on
just
on
getting
real estate. That's
getting the real estate locations. Like that's what I'm saying. Like these people they know what they're trying to do. They're just very confident. Like when we talked to him at that Canaccord conference there, he was doing his thing. You're listening to him, you're like, this guy's not trying to oversell anything, and now that influence is coming through us.
Yeah, it wasn't really cockiness. It was just confident that he's just going
to
own it.
Absolutely. So Sam here says, Aurora and Mexico deal smells fishy. The latest article in Seeking Alpha raises simple unanswered questions shareholders should be concerned about. Check it out today. I have not read that myself. I'm somewhat cautious about reading articles on Seeking Alpha.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of writers, so you do get a good range of like, oh, that was such a well put together article. And other ones like, that's a stretch. So I haven't looked into that, but I think a lot of these companies are going to be under the radar now for when you're coming up with these expansions internationally. You have to provide more due diligence other than you just paid this amount and you're getting this. Because people are going to be doing a lot more into it after this whole La Fria fiasco. It's social media, They might be halfway across the world, but it's a second away for internet.
People were looking into a FRIA for anyways. Like people might be looking into ACB already.
Yeah.
And like what are they going to be finding out? And now Seeking Alpha is coming out with another article on ACB, and who knows what that's about. Like,
yeah. Well, you don't get to the top without making a few haters.
Yeah, I guess so.
I am a big fan of what Cam Batley and the team are doing over there. You need to be aggressive with it. You need to move fast.
Oh, of course.
But to start saying things are overvalued and all that, again, like Karl alluded to, we're not financial advisors, so we won't make those types of calculations because we're not allowed to.
Yeah.
But it's a really intriguing time where some of these Canadian companies are going to be pioneers in this. And even these American, I just love seeing this grow. And now that the Farm Bill's coming through, people are always like, oh, who's going to be the hemp players? No, the companies that are going to make us 20 baggers or 50 baggers, they haven't even begun yet because it's been illegal. Just wait until a clothing company comes out. Just wait until a food supplement company, just wait until one of these massive retail opportunities come out, Hempcrete, and getting into something like that. Hemp itself is going to be a commodity. Do you invest in a corn company? No. Do you invest in what happens to that corn company? Possibly. I don't know why you chose corn when I said that, because you don't really do any
and you know
what? But my point stands.
Yeah, no, it's all right. This guy.
Maybe fuel. We'll do fuel. Turn to diesel. I'm trying to save myself there. but honestly, you're not going to go into these hemp players. You're going to go into what they're doing with the hemp. But sorry, you had a point before I started laughing uncontrollably.
Yeah, I know. The transfer of wealth, right? So the speculators that were in very early, the Auroras and the Cannabis, and I still think they're going to do very well. But there's other places to put your money with that can, a little more speculation.
Where are you putting your money?
I already told you there.
We're digging in here. What's he doing?
I don't really like what I see in the market right now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good time to just research and,
make the right decision.
Build a company behind the scenes. That's what I'm doing right now. But I'm not taking too much risk.
And I think that's insanely smart, though. It honestly is, and so many people take this downtime and they just look away and don't come back. And then as soon as a rush of some sort happens again, now they're all interested. Yeah. This is the time to start doing your due diligence on companies.
Yeah, and you see it in our chat rooms too, right? Like, volumes die off, but it's really a good time to, well, hey, I mean, you don't really want to be buying, right, when these things are high, unless you're shorting.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to follow along and do your research and follow up.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of research, we're going to do some right now, actually, some little due diligence on a company called Chemist International. We had Edgar Montero, he is the CEO, stop by and let us talk about his company a little bit more. He's out in Colombia, Puerto Rico, and I believe he said California as well. So we'll turn to that now and see what he had to say. Joined here today by Edgar Montero, CEO of Chemist International. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Hi, thank you, Greg. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Absolutely. And would you be able to tell us a little bit about your company and what you've been doing throughout the year of 2018?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we started the company back in July, and it's been a fantastic ride. We started with assets in California. And through our operation, we were able to secure another assets in Puerto Rico, recently in Colombia. So we basically are a company that focus on manufacturing products, even though that we have obviously growing capabilities because we like to prepare our own formulations, and we are also exploring to do retail in our different locations. Right now I'm here in the Caribbean, exploring not only the possibilities on the retail side, also expanding our operations, and we are very pleased to be in this position at this time of the year. Just Christmas is coming pretty quick. 2019 is around the corner, and we are very excited to be in the position we are with operations that are up and running, with our shareholder base that are very excited of what we're doing for 2019, and working very hard, Greg.
Absolutely, and you were saying you have some facilities in Colombia. I believe that you also operate out of Puerto Rico. What is your capacity when it comes to growing throughout Colombia, Puerto Rico, and I believe you said you had some assets or are looking to expand into California as well?
Well, actually, we started as a California-owned company. So we had in California 2 companies. One is Desert Zen, which is a distribution company, and we also have another company that is for manufacturing, which is SAP Global. So we started with that, and the whole reasoning is California is the biggest market in the world, and we were one of the first movers there. In order to get the license, it's a long time process that it requires not only state regulation, but also municipal regulations and authorizations, and that is it's a very long period of time where you need to start very early in the game, and we were able to accommodate us in that market, and we are there, one of the first movers, with the capacity of more than 2,000 pounds of processed materials a day, which is going to bring us for 2019 tremendous revenues. And I think that our position in that market, Southern California, and with capacity to distribute throughout the state with our asset Desert Zen, it's a pretty exciting opportunity that we have over there. And through that asset, we were able to expand to Puerto Rico and to Colombia, where we have here 100,000 in Puerto Rico, 100,000 square feet facility that we have cultivation, and 35,000 square feet license for manufacturing.
Very nice.
Colombia, we are expanding there. We're going to have our crop. We have a very interesting set in Colombia, because we are not only growing ourselves, but we are allowing indigenous people to help us out with the growing. It's a program that the government has over there, and it's pretty exciting. So our whole plot here is to start creating what the economics of the market will be, what we believe is going to be our differentiator, which is growing and having processing capacity in those countries where obviously the cost of production will be way less than the current cost of production that companies in Canada or even in the States will have, and through our expertise be able to provide to different companies, obviously directly to the market, and that's where we are pushing very hard.
Oh, good to hear. And when it comes to your operations in Colombia, what are you currently growing in Colombia? Are you doing hemp, so non-THC, or were you approved for THC products in Latin America?
Yeah. As of now, because in Colombia the process is it's also very long, and we need to prove the government and that we have the assurance and security, that we have also the capacity to do the production there. So it's a long process. So we are currently growing hemp, no THC, and we're expecting to get the other licenses by 2019, the first or no later than second quarter, and also manufacturing capabilities over that period of time.
Yeah, very interesting, because I know a lot of people are looking at Latin America as a massive, the population throughout there is in the tens and tens and tens of millions. There's a huge market there, and not many players have started making their way into Colombia and Brazil and Latin America, so it's interesting to see that front. When it comes back to your American, on the American side, when it comes to Puerto Rico and California, do you have any plans of opening up retail stores for yourself, or would you more so be looking at working with the different dispensaries that are currently there and selling your product that way instead?
Well, let me tell you something. In Puerto Rico, with our asset, Natural Ventures, we're proudly servicing about 90% of the island dispensaries. So we have products already there on the market servicing patients in Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico right now it's medical only, with about 45,000 patients, expecting to grow to 100,000 patients by the end of 2019. So that company already has product in the market. Obviously, we are looking to have partnerships on that front, on the retail front, in order to create a better synergy and a vertical integration. So as of now, we are focusing on those partnerships. Obviously, in California, which the market is meant to have huge operations, we're also partnering with dispensaries and distribution through our asset Desert Center. Because you have to understand, a lot of players in California need to have a long-lasting process in order to get their distribution license or their manufacturing or growing licenses. So in that front, we are able to provide those services to them. In the meantime, they're doing their process, or afterwards, because we have a lot of experience in the distribution side. We're servicing about 600 dispensaries at the moment. They keep their operation with us. So it is an advantage of being the first movers there, and we're capitalizing on that.
Very nice. One of the questions actually that came from one of our investors in our community was they noticed that you had the same Canadian address as Isodiol. Do you have any plans to be working alongside them? Any synergies that are between the two companies, or is it simply an address that's shared and you guys are doing your own different things in the market?
We have to do different things in the market. We specialize in manufacturing processes and THC products at the moment. So I think that's a clear differentiator there. And most importantly, we focus on expansion through Latin America. And right now we have to have our own personality, of course. It's important for us to have this clear distinction. And for us, it's also important to focus on the things that we are doing, the assets that we are creating, the value that we are putting together. I think is exceptional. If you look at our press releases, you will see that the ownership structure that we have on all our deals, it's pretty outstanding. And through the quarters, you will start looking at not only more revenues coming in, but deals that have that structure where we are the main dictators of the future of those endeavors. So it is an important distinction.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, and I appreciate you for elaborating that as well. For investors who are looking to learn more about you, just speaking about your investor presentation, your website and where they can find you on the stock market as well.
Yeah, of course. It's www.chemist.com. So you can watch the not only our news and press releases, but also some of the products that we're going to launch to the market. On the stock exchange, we are trading at the CSE, the Canadian Stock Exchange, under our symbol CSI.
Perfect. Well, hey, I appreciate very much you taking the time to be able to speak a little bit more about your company, take some of our investor questions as well. And for everyone who is watching and viewing, you can head over to the website now and learn a little bit more about you. I appreciate, like I said again, for coming on, and we look forward to having you on in 2019 to see where you've been able to progress over the next couple of quarters. And it's a crazy game in the cannabis world. I wish you all the best with it as well.
Thank you, and I agree with you. I think this time is to focus on operations, maximize the potential of your assets, making sure that you're trimming all the fat, and you're moving to 2019 with a lot of energy. And I think that Cannabis International is doing exactly that. We're expecting in 2019 being a formidable year for us. A lot of expansion, a lot of good news, a lot of surprises for our investors, but most importantly is increasing our participation in the market and being able to be a peaceful competitor in the market.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day as well. And we are back. I thought you were going to hit his back again, man. We stopped this, eh? We had that going for a while.
The shirt's too tight, I can't.
I can't lift up my arms. Men's fashion these days, folks. Men's fashion.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's bad.
All that fasted, well, not fasted cardio, but intermittent fasting.
It's not that, though. I went to this guy to get some dress shirts, and he's like, this is the fit that everybody's looking for. I'm like, give me two. And then I can't move, man. Like, I can't move. It's not good. Taking it back.
I love the... I'd like 2 shirts, please. Yes, I'd like them in size. I can't move properly.
No, he actually told me. He's like, if you don't, leave the store if you don't want that. And I was like, well, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
So you listen to him.
And now I'm like, I can't hit this guy here. I guess I can.
So what do you guys think of Chemist Technologies?
Well, I think we were actually talking the entire break, so I don't know anything about them.
You should have been paying attention.
Well, you should have stopped talking then.
I have an earpiece in actually, so I always hear no matter what. So as you're talking to me, I'm also hearing everything's going in the studio and what's going on. It's an information inception.
I like his solution to the problem.
What was that?
Why don't you tell us about them?
Interesting. I liked him. So I haven't looked into the company, into their share structure or anything like that. So that's a huge thing that you need to do before you invest in a company. But from speaking with them, that was the first time I heard of the company. And I like the fact they're in Colombia, because Colombia, I think, is going to be a massive hemp producer, given their climate.
ICC, right?
ICC Labs, who is now Aurora.
That's right.
And Chiron. I think Oxley's in Uruguay. They're the second people in Uruguay. But so there are some players getting out into Latin America, but they have incredibly favorable climates for year-round grow of hemp and THC flower. But I know Colombia, they're very strict on THC flower. I don't even know if they've started THC flower yet, to be honest. I think ICC Labs may have just got their license recently to do that. Yeah. In Puerto Rico, I don't know much about their economy, but being in California obviously is a fortuitous state to be in. So it's enough to make me want to look into the company a little bit more. But you have to look into share structure. You know, is there cheap paper out there? Where they've been trading recently? What's their chart look like? I haven't done any of those, so my opinion right there was just simply on our interview that we had. How's that?
That was actually pretty good.
It was detailed?
I can't even argue with that. That's what's well played.
Who do you not like in this space?
Who do I not? Abatis.
Oh, Abatis.
I mean, I don't talk bad about any company really, but that's why I talk bad about Abatis, because it's not a company; it's an absolute scheme. Yeah, I believe that to be the case.
All shares matter, eh?
It's a bridge mark scheme, and this isn't even an opinion. This is very much fact. You look at what they had for their management. They had like $18.5 million in management fees and bonuses in the last 9 months. Yet they have no revenue yet, to my knowledge, and their share price has gone down well more than 50%. They had $2.7 million over the last 9 months spent on IR and marketing. our community and many of the people in our community reach out to them multiple times and never got an answer. So that $2.7 million, I don't believe, went to IR and maybe went to marketing. That would make sense. But yeah, that's what I'm not really liking at the moment. I think that's a very safe thing to say. But all the other companies, if I don't like them, I just
that
don't
was
talk.
fire, guy.
Yeah.
Do that.
So you don't like a bag of shit?
No, I don't. Although,
Who else don't you like?
well, it's hard because for the most part, if I don't like a company, I simply don't talk about them. Or someone asks me specifically about a specific company, I'll say what I like and don't like. So I don't like trash talking. That's not who I am. But when it comes to them, I'm
a little game.
I'm okay
Like
with
or
it.
dislike.
Like or,
we can do that.
Like or dislike.
Start.
Okay, no, go.
ACB.
Like.
I free you.
Dislike at the moment.
Oh.
I have for a while though because after New Era.
Yes, you've always said that.
Yeah.
I respect you for that.
We're gonna keep going. This is gonna get tricky at one point. We need like a policy statement go up or something. Do not listen to everything I say.
Yeah, exactly. Cannabis.
I've always loved Cannabis. Bruce is going to lead them into one of the biggest companies in the world, cannabis-wise. Campus River. I liked speaking with Daniel actually. I think he's a really sharp guy. They've got a lot of stuff going on there, and I like the fact that Cannabis Rivers, they're not like a play like say HMMJ, the Horizons.
Oh yeah.
Because that's obviously an ETF. These guys actually invest little chunks in companies, so you do get that ETF feel, where you've got numerous companies that you're investing in, just going into Cannabis Rivers, but they're also helping that company through the information from Cannabis Growth Corporation, and they're helping incubate these companies and grow them. So not just investing in them, they're actually investing in their future by putting more money into them. That's a recipe for success. Have they picked the right companies? Time will tell, but I like the guy. He was a smart guy, Daniel was.
Okay, that was an in-depth. It was just yes or no is good from now.
Is that how we play this game?
Yeah, it was just a yes or no thing. Yes or no?
Emblem Corp.
Emblem dislike.
Nope.
Just a simple yay
I
or
gotta
no.
get reason.
Just shut your
No,
mouth.
I gotta get
You
reason.
don't have to hear it. It's just a yay or
No, I
nay.
don't need to know.
All right, this is
Fire.
gonna be in trouble, huh?
Fire.
No,
Supreme.
there's actually hold on. Talking less will get you in less trouble.
But just saying whether I like or dislike a company on
No, just say yay or nay.
Labs.
like you went with their ticker. You never said their name. Say their name.
All right. Okay, Metafarm. That was the name. Whaling Group.
Like.
Fincana.
Undecided. First one I didn't know. First one I don't
Whoa,
know
that
much
was
about
not an
Fincana.
option.
Yeah.
Not an option.
Sorry, guys.
But moving on.
No,
Radiant
this is a
Technology.
good. I think everyone's
Written
enjoying
dislike.
Dislike.
Oh yeah, they blew it.
Okay, I need to know this one. Go on.
Radiant RTI, Radiant Technology, was massive when they first came out. They were the first extraction company people really were focusing
Well, yeah,
on.
their technology is like amazing, unreal.
Yeah, and you know what? They partnered up with Aurora. The reason why I don't like they've been such a long time, and we've seen nothing come from them yet. No progress reports, nothing like that. Playing with my hands, okay. So yeah, I just want to see more from them, right?
Yeah.
I want to see more from them. A lot of people came out saying they would do this and say they're going to do that. We need to sift through those companies, who's actually making progress and who's actually going to be a good investment.
RTI.
And in RTI, I'm not sure. I don't see the progress personally. I don't see it.
They extract with a microwave.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like that.
Radiation.
No,
There was a debate in our chat room about the radiation, different type of radiation.
Yeah. I'm much more a fan of technologies like what Lacey has done. Lacey is a private company out in the United States.
Have you ever tried them?
I did, yeah. It was
stories or anything?
It was powerful. I was high for like 14 hours straight. That was crazy. I'm so glad it was a Saturday. What they do though, for viewers who don't really, who may not know too much about cannabis, when you extract CBD or THC or anything like that, you have to decarb it, and usually that takes heat to get to that point. When you do that though, it changes the chemical compound of cannabis. So what could be 11% THC, when it goes into an edible, it can turn into 14%, it can turn into 7%. That's kind of why edibles right now are not legal in Canada. We're trying to figure that out. Lacey does it where they don't use heat to decarb it, and when they change that flower, that bud, into a liquid form pill while keeping the chemical compound almost identical. So it's like smoking, but you're ingesting it.
So they have an IP.
They have an IP.
So that would be a good strategic buyout target.
Oh, absolutely. And also for companies that are out there, they white label that IP. I think they said $300,000 for a year. Don't quote me on that, though. It's just a number that I believe to be true. But you can do that, and you do it for 5 years, as you can use their process. So if you've got really nice flower and people don't want to smoke it, you could do it this way, where you keep the texture, you keep it, not texture, but you keep everything about the chemical compound the same, so you get the same effects if you were taking it. So that's huge, but just prepared for many hours of being
I'd love to do
sober.
some more content with them, actually.
Yeah.
You know, and they can, like, we need the video there, how they do that.
No, I do like them. So let's see what we've got, any questions here, to see if we've got anything coming up on our Facebook group or on YouTube, either or. Again, a couple people are questioning the Aurora, Mexico deal.
Why?
They say it seems fishy. I'm guessing that Seeking Alpha had an article come out that I can only imagine was not favorable towards them. I have not read that article yet, but they're probably saying, you know, what's going on with this acquisition? Because a lot of people are getting all over the world, and it's hard to figure out. We can just hold hands for the rest of the time if you like.
That's funny.
Well, we got a couple more people still coming on the show today, and also someone who's coming on live at around 2 o'clock. That'll be a really interesting one, because apparently this grower has won the most awards in the United States for their cannabis. So I want to talk shop with them, because if you're an investor, it's not just about finding out what companies are doing, all that's important. You need to understand, do they actually have a competitive advantage with their products? And that's where I think investors, even if you're not hearing a CEO or you're not, find out more stuff about their stock or when to buy them, you need to find out information. He's got some crazy hands today. They're all over the place. They're all over the place.
He's antsy. He's antsy.
Well, hey, why don't we switch it over, because we did sit down with Andy Williams. He's the CEO and co-founder of Medicine Man Technologies. Much like Canopy Rivers in the sense of helping people understand the market and how to grow their companies, they do that service as well. They're in ancillary products. We asked them, who they are and what they're doing, and this is what he had to say about that question.
So, Andy Williams, I own a number of companies in the cannabis space. Medicine Man was the first I started in 2009. Medicine Man Technologies, we started in 2014. So we had learned a lot of things about how to run an industrial cannabis cultivation operation, as well as retail. And we knew that a lot of people were trying to get into this industry. So we started a consulting company called Medicine Man Technologies that helped the people that had the money and desire and the passion, business acumen to get into the cannabis space, but didn't have the know-how. And we provided that know-how. And the services we provided were helping them to get licensed in whatever state that they were in. Usually it's a competitive licensure. So having somebody who knows, the operating one of these facilities goes a long way to helping to win a license. We designed and built facilities, trained employees, got systems up and running, and helped them open doors. Our business expanded to other products and services. We now help people that are in the business but not doing as well as they thought they'd want to. We help them do better. We have products such as Success Nutrients, which is the nutrients that the plant use to grow, and so everybody in the cannabis space growing plants can use that nutrients. It's designed specifically for marijuana and is the best nutrients I've ever used. Then we also have a supply company called Big Tomato, where we supply the cultivators with the equipment and consumables that they use in order to grow cannabis. And we have a book called 3-Alight that teaches people at home, because a lot of states you can grow at home legally. It teaches you how to grow cannabis and grow it very well, as well as an app that goes along with it. So we're in multiple aspects of the industry right now.
Yeah, it would sound like it. It's interesting to hear where you came from, helping other companies. Is that a lot of companies in America and in Canada are in need of that, because there's a lot of people. It's a lot easier to not go through the growing pains and instead have someone teach you how to go through those, and don't have to learn through, hopefully not through error after error, but also getting into ancillary products, like it sounds like as well. Do you guys grow it all? Do you guys have your own facility, or are you more so in ancillary products and also doing consulting services for these different cannabis companies?
Right now, Medicine Technology is in the ancillary space. So we help people do it, and we provide products to them. So we provide products and services to the cannabis space. I personally have my own licenses in cultivation, retail, extraction, creating products, selling those products. And I even have the first research license for cannabis in the United States, owned by a cannabis company. Medicine Man Technologies is now pivoting to become an operator. So we've come at it opposite of what you might see out in the marketplace right now. All these big companies that you hear about started with the business acumen, the money, et cetera. They're buying assets in order to create a portfolio, and they're learning about the business. We did it the opposite way. We learned about the business through our own hard knocks and blood, sweat, and tears, and expanded our products and services. And now we're going to become a large operator. And so I'm very excited about this new direction for our company, and looking forward to making announcements on that front.
Yeah, very interesting. And yeah, it is a different route than many other took, where you're obviously researching about these different companies, the sector, different states, what's going on, what's working, what's not working. So you can imagine that when you start going into that actual process of being that producer yourself, where you've learned from all these different case studies in the past. Is there certain states that you were focusing on to begin with, and is there an expansion plan of being all across all the legal states, or you want to focus on a certain one or two?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely want to be global. We picked this moment in time because of our reputation and our contacts, not only throughout the country, but specifically Colorado. Colorado's law that right now is preventing cannabis companies from being owned by public companies is going to change this year. In January, a bill will go through the House and the Senate of Colorado and pass. We have a new governor, Jared Polis, who's going to sign this bill, I believe, in early February. And the bill right now, while not complete, we're targeting mid-year for effectivity of this. And because of our reputation here and of course, the contacts that I have, I've been working in this industry since 2009, we're going to be able to really target on the best operators in Colorado, which is really the epicenter of where the cannabis movement started. The best operators, best products, best you name it, is here in Colorado, and we're going to have a great opportunity to roll that up. We are also looking at deals outside of Colorado right now. We have we've had well over 100 clients with Midas Letter Technologies. We're currently working in 15 states. We've had clients in Australia, New Zealand, Croatia, Germany, South America, of course also United States, Puerto Rico, and Canada, and then also Canada. So we have a large footprint of clients that have worked with us and trust us, and they're all certainly people that we're going to target for talks about acquisition if we like the marketplace and the business. And so we have a lot of plans in the near future, but focused in Colorado initially.
Mm-hmm. No, it's good to hear, right? And yeah, Colorado has been the epicenter for cannabis, especially in the United States, for many years now. So it'll be interesting to see that progression. You're saying obviously the news releases still need to come. You need to announce these different things, but you're looking at that in a very short term, or are you looking maybe like Q2, Q3 of 2019? Are we talking very soon?
No, we're talking Q1.
Q1.
We've been laying these plans down. Yeah, we've been laying these plans down for quite a while now, and we're in the execution mode. And so I do believe, and we have announced that we're going to be making this pivot, that in Q1 we will be making announcements to achieve these goals.
Very nice. And switching gears a little bit to your share structure and your stock itself. You're currently trading on the OTC, I believe. Is it MDCL, I believe?
That is correct. We're a flex company on the OTC.
Okay, and what is your current share structure looking like for investors who are seeing this and saying, you know what, this is a company who's been going into technology, they're just about to start going to production, so it's got that, that little bit of, okay, maybe I should look into this because there's about to have even more top-line revenue coming out of this. But when it comes to your current share structure, when it comes to early private placements or anything like that, is there anything that shareholders should be looking out for? Is there a private placement that's going to be coming due for warrants or anything like that in the near future that's in the money?
Yeah, we are. We do have a private placement right now. We're raising an initial fundraise, not overly large, but large enough to make some of these early acquisitions that we're talking about and growing the infrastructure of our company. And I can certainly talk to people about that if they're interested. I can't go into details over this, but we've been very careful about how we've grown our company. We don't have hundreds of millions of outstanding shares of stock that are out there. We don't have huge warrant structures that are going to put caps on the market as time goes on. We don't have any debt. We've been very careful about that, and with this raise, we are going to continue to be careful.
No, I appreciate that very much, going through that. And I noticed that you're not on the CSC. A lot of American companies have chosen to come on to CSC for some liquidity and being a part of the Canadian market in that way. Do you have any plans for that, or are you sticking more so on the American side when it comes to listing your stock?
We were looking at that pretty aggressively before October of this year. I think it was October that you saw the 30% drop in the Canadian market in a very short period of time. And while that's still on my radar, I'm waiting to see what's going on in Canada for a little while before I further those plans. It is on my radar. I do see that as an opportunity for a large fundraise in the future if we want to do a list or other opportunities that may present itself. But right now, I am focusing on the OTCQX. I think, have you heard about the States Act that's coming down the pipe this year, I believe?
Which one? I know that there's a few bills that people are speaking about in particular, but is this specific to Colorado, or are you talking about all the states in the U.S.?
So on the federal level, so I'm on the board of the Cannabis Trade Federation, and we've been working very hard at the federal level. And Corey Gardner is carrying a bill that we've been championing. That's a tough word to say for him with him, and it's called the States Act. Elizabeth Warren is also a sponsor of it, and the States Act will federalize cannabis. So much like alcohol or gaming, the federal government will say if the states have regulations that control this product, the states can run those programs without federal interference. More importantly, the operators in that space will not be violating the Controlled Substances Act. So that will do a couple things for this industry. It'll fix 280E, which is a tax code that doesn't allow retailers to take tax deductions that most people would, and the effective tax rates are very high. It also has the opportunity to fix banking. And so when that happens, I think you're going to see financial institutions in the United States start looking at banking some of these expansions, as well as the NASDAQ and NYSE start looking at opening up to the U.S. cannabis companies.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the biggest reason why a lot of these American companies chose to go on the CSC and list there is because of how hard it is to raise capital in the United States when it comes to cannabis, but also the banking concerns. When that I believe it was the Cole memo. I believe that's what it was in the beginning. When that was pulled, that's what really started this ripple effect. Everyone's like, oh no, what's going on with American cannabis? But I believe most states, yourself and most people are under the understanding that it's an inevitability now. It's not is it going to happen. It's more of a when. For cannabis to remain a Schedule I drug, it absolutely is ludicrous, to be very honest. It makes no sense because there are medical benefits to that. So it'll be very interesting to see that come through. But so that would be a huge impact, I can imagine, for yourself and many of the players in the United States. But I definitely have to ask about one more bill that's currently going on. A lot of people are speaking about it right now, and it's the Farm Bill. Do you guys have any access or any plans to be in the hemp industry, or do you think just in general that's a huge step forward for the industry as a whole that will benefit you guys?
Yeah, I love this, the opportunity that the hemp industry is going to provide. Textiles as well as the CBD oil and everything that will come from it. I have looked at different hemp operations or a different idea with hemp. In terms of how to get into that space. I think it's going to be a very large market. I can't go into details. None of this is public, of course, but it's a two-edged sword. Right now, with cannabis companies are providing cannabidiol or CBD oil to customers that need it from their licensed facilities. As more CBD becomes available, of course, that takes market away from the current licensees. It's great for consumers because they'll have different access to it. But there's not a lot of understanding on the effects of CBD alone, rather than having the other cannabinoids involved with it. I think it's more effective when you have some THC with it, maybe just a trace amount, but still the endocannabinoid system, I think, brings it in better. So it is going to affect the cannabis market as it is today, but creating a much larger CBD market, on just the regular market as it is. So it's a two-edged sword, but I definitely am looking at different opportunities within that sector.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think it does pose a lot of benefits, while also a lot of challenges in the sense of, how does that affect current, especially medical providers and all of that when CBD is coming out. But I do agree, the more people I speak to, you really get to look at the whole package of the different cannabinoids and trichomes and having them all together. So it'll be interesting, but we're still a little ways on the research for that. But no, I appreciate very much you taking the time and coming on the show, letting us know a little bit more about your company and what you plan on doing in 2019. Again, you can find yourself on the OTC MDCL. And do you have a website where people can look a little bit further into what you've done and what you'll continue to do?
Yes, the website for Medicine Man Technologies is that, medicinemantechnologies.com, or to see a broader portfolio of what I own, medicinemanportal.com. And I think this is a great time to invest in our company. We have expansion plans that are about to take off, and you're never going to find the stock at the price again, I don't think.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate very much for you coming on. I look forward to possibly getting you back on in the early new year and see what you've been doing and the progression that you guys have made in the next little while. Thank you very much for coming on. And like I said there, thank you very much, Andy, for coming on. I had a good chat with him and what he's doing over with all the different elements of actually going into growing now, opposed to the ancillary products and the information side. So it'll be interesting. Someone who actually knows what they're going into.
Besides what?
Besides half the other cannabis companies out there. I think there's going to be a lot of, we've talked about this a while, I think there's going to be a lot of failures. Not so much in 2019.
Failures or buyouts?
Yeah. I think 2020 is the year that we're going to see a lot of failures. In 2019, there's so much lack of supply that if you have supply, someone will grab it off of you.
Yeah.
But what happens when there's not a lack of supply in Canada anymore? And that's going to happen probably in 2020. Well, then now you really start getting rid of all the chaff in the space. The chaff. We're going to farming terms here. But he spoke about something really interesting, the States Act, and what that would do for America. I remember Alan Brockstein was on the show with James, I think last Wednesday, talking about this. Is the United States going to legalize? And it was really interesting to hear him say that he does not think it's going to legalize the next 2 years.
The Brock.
The AB, the Alan Brockstein.
Did he say why?
Because there's no incentive.
Blows my mind if they don't.
Well, yeah, but think of it from if you legalize it federally, then all of a sudden you now have to start charging proper taxes. The taxes they charge cannabis companies in the United States is unbelievable. It's incredible because they understand that there's that technically it's not legally federally, so they can do whatever they want. If you have that, then all of a sudden now these states can't charge this incredible taxes they've been charging. So why would they push for it to be legal federally? They'd probably want it just in their own state and grow their own state. Huh. And if it goes federally, well, then are you going to be allowed to start going state to state now if it's federally? Like, there's so many different elements, but I don't know. I do think it's going to go through. I think it's going to be an election campaign. One of the sides are going to run on it.
Interesting.
That is my thought. That's my thought on that. That's my thought. And then the Farm Bill coming as well. It was interesting seeing somebody, or a few people say, are these prices already baked in? It's a good question. They've been running a little bit, are they?
Well, what would be the next catalyst after a Farm Bill?
For a hemp player, revenue. revenue. If it's strictly hemp, that means they're going to have all the banking that they need to have.
So
it's going to be legal.
What does that tell you, right?
Sell the news. But
I mean, I'm not too worried about my GGB.
well, they're also in many different forms of cannabis as well, not just strictly CBD. But yeah, no, it's interesting because there are obviously other catalysts like that will lead to a lot of emergence of different companies. It'll lead to a lot of different elements. It is very interesting, especially if you look at it from a macro and an economic standpoint. When it comes to hemp, China runs the world. China has the largest hemp fields and the largest hemp producer in the entire world.
NSP's in, are they in China?
I don't believe so.
They're somewhere in Asia.
Yeah, we were gonna have them on the show, but unfortunately their CEO
canceled.
fell a little bit ill. We'll have him on in the near future. But China exports all the textiles and all of the hemp into North America and different areas. Well, America's going to come out here and say, you know what? No, we're farmers. We're America, and we're going to plow all these fields down, put in hemp, and we will take it over. It's interesting. A lot there, my man. A lot to unpack.
Correct.
But it begs the question, do you invest in one of the people growing hemp, which is going to be just a commodity like anything else? Or do you invest in companies that come out and say, we're going to be the next clothing company, we're going to be the next plastic company, we're going to be...
You can go into anything. Food, like you said, hempcrete, everything is going to be made out of hemp.
Yeah.
You can make oil, like CBD.
Beard oil.
Beard oil.
Beard oil for the beard.
100%.
You know what? We went the entire episode without rubbing Greg's beard, and everyone afterwards.
And also, I like your shirt today.
He likes
that. I like that.
He likes my shirt today, folks. The one person, you know what's funny, is that you made fun of me when I came with that seagull shirt, and you made fun of me when I came with that bright blue shirt. The day after, the next week after, I wore just a normal, what was it, burgundy
I
shirt.
like that shirt.
You liked it.
That was
we
really
got
good.
chirped on YouTube saying there's no funk in here anymore. The one time.
Look at this funk. What are you talking about?
So, I mean, there's no pleasing the masses, right? It's utilitarianism
last
principle.
week's shirt was good, man.
Which one was that one?
The one you're talking about. Burgundy.
Yeah.
We'll just call it burgundy.
I am now going to get dressed, take a photo to you, Snapchat it and saying, is this okay for the show?
That's fucking weird. It wouldn't be fun though, right? It's like really. Well, listen, let's talk about something else.
All right. Well, I see you looking at Matica a lot.
What's going on with Matica?
Yeah, what's up?
Do tell.
me.
There's a story here. Do tell.
Yeah, come on.
No
Well,
story.
why are you looking at it?
I'm not looking at Matica. I'm looking.
He's looking right at your phone.
I think it actually dipped right underneath the warrant price. I don't own Matica anymore. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
It
nothing
hit
there.
9.5, dude. That's underneath the warrant.
Wow.
The warrants, yeah.
Yeah, and
They got a new IR firm today, so.
Did you?
Some people out in Quebec.
Do you know them?
No, I don't know them.
Yeah.
Might know of them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
on, you know.
I was forced to answer the yes and no
Yeah.
one.
They turned from bashing to promoting them now.
Ah. As I
You
do.
know, not my problem.
Yeah. No, fair enough. And you know what? You gotta watch out. You know, there's a lot of companies that are making a lot of 52-week lows. You put that into our chat rooms all the time.
Yeah.
And we went through probably what, 3 dozen different
lot.
cannabis companies reaching their 52 lows in the last few weeks. Great buying opportunity, or a good sign that maybe those ones weren't
We're
the right
still
ones.
in we're still in tax loss season. So
Yeah, December 29th.
Yeah.
I believe is the
How does
last.
that even work?
tax loss?
Yeah.
Well, you're offsetting your capital gains, my friend. Okay. But yeah, anyways, back to the Matica IR. I mean, kudos to that person and those people out there in Quebec. You know, Matica definitely needed to engage somebody or more people in some sort of IR. And if you're going to be a Quebec LP, you need to be represented out there. Yeah. I just think it's funny how, you know, certain individuals have been bashing the shit out of that company, like harder than any company I've seen get bashed for a long time on multiple different handles.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Matica engages them. I mean, that's kind of funny, right? But I think it sets the wrong, like you're enabling that kind of behavior, right? So, like I'll bash you, and then
Yeah, I can see that.
if you pay me, I'll stop. And that might not be the case, but you know, maybe it always you can say, oh well, you know, I didn't like the company, and now I do, and whatever, which is fine. But at the end of the day, optics. It's just
Yeah. And it's like you said, you're enabling. So I think in general, we as investors are enabling these people to get away with this kind of stuff, because it's amazing how when these shorts come out and everyone's freaking out, or when these pumpers come out, everyone's freaking out. You have to realize, for the most part, if there are people with that strong of agenda saying, you get out of it now before you die.
You shouldn't be telling anyone to do that, though. You're not allowed to.
But this is what happens, though. And these are the people need to watch out for. Like, no matter what, even if you're reading a Globe and Mail article or a Financial Post article, those are paid articles. And it's okay that money was paid for because it's marketing, all right? That's the normal way of doing things.
Yeah.
But just know that no matter what, a lot of the information you're getting has some sort of bias.
Yeah, like
taking a few types of informations first.
The reality is if you need to promote and market companies. Whether it's a lot easier when they're private and whatever. They're public. They need to disclose properly. And there was even an article that came out on how these companies have to do a better job. Right, and be very mindful. Now we're into the information age, so there's an adjustment period there. But yeah, of course, when somebody's getting paid to write a story about a company, I mean, they're not going to really sit there and talk about the bad stuff. I will give like a Chris Perry credit, right, where like that's definitely the livelihood of his business, right? So if a company does something that he doesn't like, he's pretty legit in the sense that it seems that he'll flip on them. Yeah. Regardless of just taking the money and saying, yeah, I'm still gonna, talk about this company and all the good stuff. When reality is that they've shifted, and which I respect that.
Yeah. I also really respect the writing of Ben Smith.
Ben's great. Yeah.
I got to meet him for the first time. Well, in person, we've spoken numerous times before, but on set here because he was helping out Ed with the show, and we did a Skype interview as well. I do appreciate that approach where it's impossible to ever get rid of all bias. It truly is, but the way that he brings it to the plate is very factual. He lets you know what's there, and leaves enough room for you to still say, okay, I got this. What do I do with this now? I'll add it with this. I'll add it with this, and you make a decision from that.
100%.
You know what? I really enjoy reading people's thoughts on sectors and the markets, and trying to predict things a little bit, and getting into that. When it comes to company-specific stuff, I really don't go to writers' blogs for opinions on companies. I'll go and do my own research and want to go from there, right? So, but I like hearing what I think Ben called that reversal on Afria.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that I was at a point where it was like, okay, even if some of the stuff is happening, is it? Look at the valuation, right? And so that showed his experience. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, 100%.
Good to hear. Well, speaking of due diligence, we're going to do a little bit right now with a private company actually that's looking to go public on the CSC next quarter. We're talking to Christian, who is the CEO of One Cannabis. Christian, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and thanks for coming on such short notice here, coming on the show live with us. I just wanted to, for who you are, I heard you're a very, you've been growing for a while, and have got a couple of awards under your belt. What have you done in the cannabis space up until now, and what's One Cannabis doing as a company?
Yeah, I've had a plant in the ground for over 10 years, as they say. I started growing legal marijuana in Colorado in 2009. And since 2009, the companies that I've run have won 6 Cannabis Cups, the highest award for product excellence in the industry. Last year, we're named one of the best dispensaries in the United States by High Times. 2015, I wrote a book on the industry called Big Weed. And last year, we started franchising the retail concept of marijuana. And so we've been successful in selling franchises around the United States. And now we're looking to go public on the CSE. So we have I've been doing this a long time. I've had a chance to meet with a lot of the Canadian LPs and great guys, and it's fun to sit down with them as we always just sort of tell war stories. But typically, I've been in it about 6 years longer than anyone in Canada, and just so we're bringing our wealth of experience to the markets, and think we have a very reasonable play as a public company in the future.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I mean, there's a lot of people or a lot of companies actually that don't have a lot of growing experience. So it's interesting, especially when you go into the United States. There's some states obviously that have been illegal for good long time, so you've had a lot of time to practice with that. When it comes to the franchising, how does that model work? So if I'm a franchisee, I have a certain amount of money to open up a franchise, am I then growing myself and you're teaching me how to grow with your methods? Is that how it's going to just spread?
Yeah, the franchising in general. Let me explain that, and then also franchising in cannabis, because there's sort of an interesting nuance about how cannabis legalization is really lining up well for the franchise model. So franchising in general, we're the franchisor, and so just like McDonald's or Subway or Midas, car repair or H&R Block tax returns. I mean, all these are franchise concepts where a franchisor has learned the lessons of how to do it the right way. We've learned both what to do and what not to do, and so that we can pass that experience on to our franchisees and they can benefit from it and not make the same mistakes. And in cannabis, how it really lines up well is that it's such a highly fragmented market, and particularly in the U.S., it's difficult to get those retail licenses. And so what we have is a highly fragmented market that have individual owner-operators of dispensaries. And those individuals have sort of the same challenges that anyone have, that they have a lack of experience in cannabis, which is almost universally true of newly awarded dispensary licenses. But then also they don't have any operational experience. They don't know what to do or how to do it. And so we do two things. One, we find these people at that time, or they find us, where we can add the most benefit to their work experience. There's a lot of cannabis, especially the regulatory, tax compliance, bookkeeping, and all that. It really is, it comes down to how do you initially set up the company. And so we work with franchisees very early on to help them win licenses, find the right real estate, build out that real estate, hire their staff, use standard operating procedures. But then once they're up and running, we give them the additional benefit of being able to work collaboratively. And as we sort of know from every other part of society, the Walmarts of the world get a great deal on all the products they buy because they buy in such bulk. And the concept with the franchise is the same, is that in this highly fragmented market, as we go out and start to bring franchisees together, that we all benefit from that collective. We're going to benefit from being able to buy products a little cheaper, but also to do branding. Again, I would argue that there's no recognizable brand of cannabis anywhere in the world. There's a couple of small pockets where there's a recognized brand, but generally speaking, there's not. And so we look to the franchise is really to bring together this diverse group of owners, to support them in significant ways, and allow us all to benefit as we come together. And so we think that the franchise model is going to be very, very relevant in cannabis because it is such a highly fragmented market, and also it's just a proven model. You look at the Western world, and franchising is such a prevalent business model. And so we're really just working sort of analogously on what's worked in other industries and what will work here. And really, once we saw the opportunity to do this, wasted no time, and I partnered with a guy that's got 20 years of franchise experience. He was running a company called Maui Wowie, which I think was a great name of a company to run before you got into the cannabis business. So he went from Maui Wowie to One Cannabis. But he's a 20-year franchise veteran. So for everything that my team and I know about running compliant, profitable cannabis businesses, he knows about running a successful franchise. And so we came together in hopes of being able to support and build up this group of owner-operators, of entrepreneurs who want to work with us collectively to become one of the dominant brands of cannabis in the evolving industry.
Yeah, it's very interesting because that is going to be an interesting area to look into, is that franchise model. We're going to see just a bunch of LPs try to do it on their own, or are they going to franchise off their intellectual property and their know-how to expand at a rapid pace. When it comes to investors, so a new investor looking into this, you said you're going public on the CSC. What does your share structure look like? How many shares do you have outstanding at the moment? And do you have a private placement or an IPO that's happening soon?
Yeah, we're actually we're doing the final private placement before the IPO. We're currently working on several options around a public listing. Most directly, we're working on a long form IPO for the CSE. We're also looking at a couple of reverse merger options and one just straight merger. So we have a couple of ways we're doing that, but we are doing a final private placement right now that's going to have, we're building in some arbitrage to make sure that those investors benefit from the IPO. And we hope to be public and trading in the first quarter. But to be very candid too, the going public process for us is important, but it really is what happens after that. We're really positioning this. I think when you look at this sort of first wave of public cannabis companies that's come through now, and they're getting pretty beat up after the, after the 17th, and the market's down considerably. We're really positioned to be the sort of second phase. I came up in Colorado, and in Colorado we have an interesting expression that pioneers got arrows and settlers got land. And to that extent, we're really looking to be settlers in this industry. And we're looking to build significant long-term value for our shareholders. One of the unique things about franchising that I think is a huge benefit to our shareholders versus others is that if you're invested in a company that's acquiring new units, they're going out and they're paying cash or stock to buy these units. And you have to, at some point, look at how long does it take to return that capital to the company, to the investors. Franchising is not only needed in this industry right now because of how fragmented the ownership is, but it also is hugely capital efficient. And what I mean by that is, we're looking at opportunities in Los Angeles right now where we would go in and have to pay, 12 or 15, $20 million for a dispensary. And instead, we're having people that are willing to pay us $100,000 as a franchise fee and then give us 5% of revenue to help them not make the critical mistakes we've made. And so the requirements on capital are very, very different for franchise companies versus sort of what I'd call, sort of the pure LP route. There's a lot of companies out there, the MedMen, Ianthus, MPX, others that are they're going out and acquiring these assets. And again, they're priced up right now. There's a lot of expense to them. You get a lot of capital risk tied up in these assets that might fail. And additionally, then we have a diversification. With 100 franchisees, if we lose one of those units for any reason, then it's unfortunate, but it's not going to kill us. We didn't have a lot of capital wrapped up into it. We've got 99 others that are operating, and so I think that the interesting part of where we are is that it's low capital requirements, huge diversification, and sort of a higher return on investment. The average, operating income for a franchisor is typically over 80% because we're taking 5% of revenue and we don't have a lot of significant expense to set that against. So although we're playing in that same space as effectively a branded multi-state operator in the U.S. and hopefully Canada soon, our economics are very different, and I hope that our return to investors is significantly different and better than our competitors that are just doing a straight cash roll-up.
Yeah, and for investors who are listening to this right now and they like what they're hearing, they find it interesting, is that private placement, is it almost closed, or do people have somewhere to reach out to find a little bit more information, possibly get on the private placement or the IPO that's coming up as well in the near future?
Yeah, no, they could absolutely reach out. Best, so you have my name up there. You could email me, Christian@ocginc.com. I'd be happy to put them in touch with our investor relations team. We have most of it subscribed. It's not quite a bought deal, but we've got most of it already taken care of. We're going to open it up on Monday or Tuesday of next week. We anticipate having it shut down, fully subscribed and shut down by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. But if anyone's interested, I would love to talk to more people. We're looking to, we're really looking to get that diversity in our investor base as well. So we're welcoming back our current investors, obviously, but we're also, looking to sort of spread that investment base so that we have a nice broad base of investors that's adding a lot to our aftermarket activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And from ourselves here, at Midas Studio, Follow the Money Investor Group, we love finding things like this when it comes to opportunities. You know, you still have to look into what your financials are going to look like, the different aspects of your company, which is why reaching out to you is the best way to find out that information. But it's interesting because a lot of the times I find investors only find out about a company once they're, a week before their IPO. But to have a chance to possibly get on the IPO or a private placement beforehand, I just want to make sure I got that out to anyone listening who was a little curious there, so they knew where to go, so they can inquire a little bit more into that.
Yeah, fantastic. Would love to talk to them, and you're so right. I mean, how many times in life have these opportunities come and gone? You're like, if only I had heard about that 60 days ago. So maybe this is great timing for somebody. Would be happy to talk to them. We're very excited about what the future holds, and we've been working on this sort of go public for better part of a year now, since February in any case, and we're sort of watching where the markets are, and we were when we got involved, everything was heating up in Canada and getting really exciting, and then the 17th has come and gone, and now the markets are gotten beaten up, and I think we're frankly more excited about it because we see the public cannabis market sort of surviving this first downturn, and to me that gives me a lot of confidence that the market is maturing, and that the future is very bright. I think that investor attention is also turning a bit from Canada to the U.S. and in the U.S. we had I think we had a very positive midterm elections for the cannabis industry, and so we're already seeing the Farm Bill is going through in the U.S. and if the States Act goes through, we get basically legal cannabis. We get it turns the regulation of the cannabis industry over to the states. And I think we're going to see just an explosion in the cannabis business activity. So we're feeling good about where we're positioned right now and how our alignment with sort of those macro political and macroeconomic activities that we can't control, but we feel pretty aligned with them right now, and very much looking forward to next year.
It's like you said as well, right? This is the second mover's advantage for the most part, where a lot of the heavy digging has been done. For those out in the States, there's still room to go, but making positive progress in that as well. So I just want to thank you very much for coming on such short notice, talk about your company, talk about where they can find out more about the private placement that you have going on. Lastly, do you have a website where they can tune in and possibly see some past work or get some more information from there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Same website as my email. It's ocginc.com. ocginc.com. It's our website. And again, if you want to reach me, it's christian@ocginc.com. And a lot of information out there, both about the franchise opportunity, our history. I think there's a pretty substantial media page, of winning a lot of awards over the years. We've got a lot of press that people can go and get a real good sense of who we are as a company and the team. And then after that, give us a call. We'd be happy to chat with anyone about it and invite people out to Colorado to tour all the facilities and get a real sense of who we are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much again for coming on the show. Looking forward to seeing the progress that you're going to be making the next little while. And when Q1 comes around next year and you're getting ready to get that IPO, we'll be sure to get you on here to give an update to all the viewers and possibly new investors into your company. Perfect. Gentlemen, we're back.
We're back.
On his phone. What's going on here? What's going on, folks?
We just got
the one he dropped?
We had some criticism. Some constructive criticism, I'd say, over the CSI interview that we did. So I was just responding to the gentleman in our Facebook.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Engagement. If you have questions, we'll answer you. If you're being an asshole, we'll still answer you, but probably a little bit differently. So
Don, you're more than welcome to come on the show, Don, and talk about CSI or any company you want, or you can even give us tips on interviewing. I don't do the interviews. Brandon does, and I think he does a very good job, actually. But we're still learning.
Absolutely. You know what this started? For those who don't know our background, I mean, this started from us going to the PDAC convention about a year ago with a cell phone a tripod and a lapel mic that I held in my hand. And went to our Facebook group at the time and just asked people, okay, who do you want to see? And I go to booth 334. We go there and all of a sudden we start interviewing, like, hey, do you want to do an interview?
Dude, you know what? I think people need to realize that we definitely don't try to act like something we're not. So what's really cool about this is that this person went into our Facebook group, Follow the Money Investor group, and he's expressing his disappointment in the interview. But guess what? Now other people are talking about that company, good and bad.
Yeah.
That's fine. We can take the criticism. I don't care. If you want to come on here and do an interview or join us on Skype and talk about the company or come in the Facebook group, go for it, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
No problem. Sorry we didn't
welcome.
meet your expectation, but hey, you know, if you want to be part of the solution, by all means.
Yeah, yeah. It's very easy to be on a couch in front of a keyboard. Not saying this negatively, just like it's very easy to say like, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that.
Well,
from opposing from coming on.
Actually, you know, and Don actually said that he has experience. He's like, I'm not trying to be too harsh, but I have experience doing some radio hits. And perfect.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on the show.
You can join us on Skype. You can talk about CSI. You can talk about any company you want to talk about. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. We had somebody giving constructive criticism, we'll call it, even though it wasn't too constructive, on Johnny Mac, who I see so many great things coming on. You're talking about this one guy was talking about something. I'm like, well, why don't you come on? I gave him my email and I said, you can come in your email. You can come on and show us the TA that you would do it. Never email back.
You know what's awesome? You know what's awesome about our show is that interview that you just did. That was literally something that we put together 5 minutes before the show, before we went live, because we had a company that couldn't make their interview for the CEO was sick. So, you know, we had an IR person who I've never met in our green room, basically. And he's got some companies like, hey, why don't you bring on one of your companies and we'll discuss them. Yeah. And you know what? I'm not giving anyone advice, but you actually we brought a company on who's doing a private placement. Yeah. You talked about their company. You should not buy the stock on that. You should go do more due diligence. But there's a private placement opportunity. Someone can reach out to that company if they want to invest. So the value is here, my friend. So anyways, if anybody wants to criticize us, go for it. If you want to be part of the solution, that's even better.
Yeah, I'm always open for it too as well. Always open. Always open.
Well, you know.
Keep going. 30 mils. His hater's going to hate. Moving on.
I'll talk about my shirt whenever I want.
Let's see, what is it this today?
What?
Circles. Circles with other circles with other circles.
It's a circle.
Could have had a few seagulls on that. Just saying. Just saying. So before handing it over to...
they're
zooming in on the shirt. Yes!
Yeah. Can you make that the background?
I don't know. They do it for Janes all the time.
Get it in there.
It's too funny though. I remember I saw James coming in today, and his scarf had more funk than my wardrobe. His scarf. There's certain things you don't fight. You don't go after Michael Jordan and try to say you're going to beat him at basketball. You don't go after James West and say you're going to beat him at his shirts. But I like the shirt.
It's too tight.
It's too tight. It's too. I can't move. Can you put your arms up?
No. No, I actually, if I go like this, it's like
rip it.
So let's go to the market before we're about to enter power hour. We're a little bit away still. We're getting closer. The mining sector looks awful. I don't know if there's anything really nope, nothing really moving whatsoever in there. Really slow in volume in the mining sector. I think that's going to be very different come next year. U.S. cannabis. Isodiol, we were talking about them earlier. Isodiol has got a pretty good bump from this hemp bill or farm bill going through. They're up 19%. Wow. Naturally Splendid, they're up 11%. And then other big movers, Crop 8%, but they've been running for a bit, back up at 40 cents. And YOLO, that one was, I know the name of it.
Yep.
Cody Karubia, he was on your CEO, great, he used to be with Supreme Pharmaceuticals in 1933 Industries. YOLO is called...
Whistler or something. No.
Oh, it'll come back to me. This is what I get for trying to call it out. I called the CEO his name. I know who you are.
But his...
Weekend Unlimited. I love this earpiece. Thank you. The award goes to the studio. So no, it's been an interesting show. Bunch of good people coming on. I don't know what Karl's doing here. I think he's staring into the abyss. Can we get a shot of this really quickly? Really fast? Right? Nope. There. It almost looks like a still. Oh, I thank everybody for coming on the show. It's always, we love hearing your comments, constructive or good. We're always growing. If you have ideas, by the way, for the show, let us know. This whole thing is meant so that you have an interacting and engaging experience. If you think, hey, we'd love to see this a part of your show, we'd love to see you stop doing this.
Come on the show, Doug McDougall. Don McDougall, I think it is.
We'll always look at it. Yeah, Don or Doug, you're more than welcome. I'd love to learn from someone who's been in reporting before, and just in general. If you've got some feedback, we're always you'll always see us in the chat rooms. Let us know anytime. Appreciate it, everybody, and we will catch you next Wednesday.